Just ran that stop sign. And another one. Welcome back, I'm Tedward. Welcome to Garage 42 here in Acton, Massachusetts, where I store my cars, and I'm trading the Lexus for this aubergine eggplant colored 1992 Audi 100. Now it is an Audi 100, not a 5000, because this is actually a Japanese market car. It was imported here despite being left-hand drive, and this is kind of the car that saved Audi for the North American market, because if you remember, in the mid to late 80s, Audi's reputation was suffering greatly. They had unintended acceleration issues. We'll get into that later. But let's just say 60 Minutes didn't do them any favors in selling cars in America. This is just my first impressions drive of this car. It has about 14,000 kilometers. She's beautiful, and it has the best license plate in the game. Who doesn't want to drive around in the eggplant? This is awesome. Anyway, it's powered by a V6, a 2.8 liter V6, as I open the trunk, not rear engined, and it makes probably 170-ish horsepower, so she's not a big power thing, but it is luxurious. And they came with Quattro. They also came in front wheel drive. This is a front wheel drive variant, so it is not all wheel drive, but look at how gorgeous this thing is. I'm obsessed with this cloth upholstery. Like, this car is actually a stunning example. And every time I see these seats with these headrests, I just think of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because his dad drove an Audi kind of like this, you see in that crazy running scene. Anyway, we've got wood trim, we've got these beautiful seats. Let's see if we can get under the hood just to show you what it looks like. By this point, they had done away with the 5-cylinder and jumped into this V6. Now, I don't remember how this opens. We're going to find out. There we go. Didn't pull it far enough. Okay, shame on me. There's our little tab. And look at this! How cool. This V6 looks so wonderful, although it's not the most advanced engine. I think it's only 2 valves per cylinder, and they put this kind of great like plastic cladding on top of it, which I suppose maybe we should make sure that's all buttoned up and down. There we go. All right, how's that? We'll check that before we drive away. But anyway, just a quick taste. Now, all I'm gonna do today is we're gonna get out and drive it, because I wanna show you what it is as a driver, and I wanna give you a true first impressions vibe of this, and we'll talk a little bit about the reputation that Audi had at the time. So let's jump in and get her dirty, because it's a beautiful day, even though it's frigid. Let's get her started up. Ooh, we've even got the little light like Porsche had. It doesn't work, just like every old Porsche. So that tells you that this was definitely a Japanese market vehicle, and use that for the toll booths. I love this display. Does this move? Does this telescope? I think this is fixed. Holy cow, that's kind of wild. Okay. Display, fantastic. Let's see how these work. Okay, there's our headlights. Very cool. It's on a stock. We've got great buttons here. And then, okay, this is very important. See this? How this does not move because the brake is not depressed yet? Well, that was essentially a fix that Audi put into these cars after the unintended acceleration issues, because there were 2 things at play that were suspected. The first thing was that there was an idle stabilizer valve I think that's what it was called. But essentially it was this idea that if this little idle stabilizer got messed up, it would just crack the throttle wide open and rev you out to $5,000 and send you. And so everyone was saying that they were in this situation where they were hitting the brakes as hard as they could and the car was still going, which this car doesn't have a lot of power, so I don't necessarily believe that. The other thing they wanted to make sure was that if that was an issue, that you couldn't put it into gear without your foot on the brake, so you couldn't just unintendedly go. But the real thing I believe, now I'm not sure what's true, what's not, but I think the pedals in the older cars were in a different place, and I think a lot of people thought they were hitting the brake when they were hitting the gas. But look, I'm not here to shame these victims of their tragic Audi accidents. I don't know what happened, but that's what I can speculate. Ooh, let's make sure the Lexus is locked up. Very nice. But I love this display. We're in kilometers. I like how this kind of extends over here and you get your, transmission stuff. This is just already a really charming car. It's really quiet. I don't know why. I feel like I was expecting this to be a louder vehicle. I feel like Mr. Bueller. Huh. I don't know if any of these blinkers work. Okay, well that works, but these don't. Interesting. Okay, we're learning. We're gonna be good. Watch this. We're gonna use hand signals, baby. Too funny. Now what I wonder, here's what I wonder. I wonder if there's some bizarre combination of things. Like if I turn the headlights on, the parking lights. Ooh, you know what we really need to figure out? We need to figure out if we have headlights. Because if we don't have headlights, this is going to be a very big problem for me. Because I have to drive this at night. The steering is so light and easy. It's a nice car, despite not having blinkers. Okay, let's see. Yeah, all right, so that's definitely not working. Let's take a look and see if our headlights work. So if I do that, are those headlights? That's the question. Looks like they're on. We have taillights. They are on. Then comes the question, high beams? Does this stock work at all? Okay, so I'm seeing that. Very curious. All right, well, the high beams don't work, but they do flash, so I can flash people, but I just can't actually use them. All right, old car quirks, baby. And then the real question is, will they stay working? Also got to play a game of trust the gauges. Now, this is very curious because this oil temp is coming up and this water temp is not. So, does that gauge not work? Is there a thermostat issue? Very interesting. It's kind of nice to know what it would be like to be middle or upper middle class management in the 90s. Still instinctively hitting the blinker. Very stable on the highway. And honestly, incredibly smooth. Like, this has no vibrations. This takes like no effort to drive. Just ran that stop sign. And another one. Catching up a little bit later. Yeah, she knows how to stop at a stop sign. Some things have improved. The high beams work. The blinkers seem to work. I don't know why. I don't know what changed. I don't know if the car just like needed to be driven a little bit and now it's good, but the first thing that's so striking about this car is just how good it is on the highway. It's so smooth, it just wants to eat miles, but it's not fast. I don't have a lot of power under my foot. You never appreciate a blinker until you don't have them, and then you're like, man, this is actually kind of dangerous. We've got lots of oil pressure. Our oil temps are coming up. This, I just really don't know what's going on with this thermostat or the gauge. So either the thermostat's weird or the gauge is weird, but sometimes this just kind of flails around and it seems to come up at weird times. Like suddenly the thermostat decides to close and then it's like, hey, cool, we're operating at normal temperature. And then maybe it just like opens again, which I don't know. That's like not typically how thermostats fail. They usually just fail open. I do miss having huge gauges though. Like, look at the size of these. You just have big font, a big tack, a big speedo. I like how it kind of flows into the center. This is kind of forward thinking, I think. So look at this temp, it's coming up. We're gonna be like in a good spot, like looks like thermostat closed. Then once we get on the highway, I guarantee that's just gonna like slam back down. That's wide open. Is it? Okay, no, that's wide open. But not with the kickdown switch. Which begs the question, if this car had some sort of unintended acceleration problem and the throttle did get stuck wide open, I feel, personally, there's a lot of time to react. This is not a quick car. So I think this is even faster than the ones that had the problem, because this is a later version of that car with the V6 instead of the 5-cylinder. I could be wrong though, I'm not a huge Audi file, so I don't know everything about them, but something just tells me that it would not be hard to stop this car with the brakes. If this was like more bare bones, I honestly would accept it. Like if it had roll down windows and no power locks, the cloth seats are so good. But like this is the dream. This is almost like the dream Camry from the 90s, where you just get something totally bare bones, but this is so much more stable and competent at the highway cruising. Actually, this gauge cluster is now absolutely reminding me of like a 95 Camry. Interesting. I mean, I guess everyone was just kind of doing the same thing, but still. Something I did notice is that you have to turn off the radio. So you turn on the radio with this power button, and that's great. But when you turn the car off, the radio doesn't go off. And if you open the door, it buzzes at you as if your headlights are on, and you have to physically turn off that radio. Everything just seems to be working as it's supposed to be working. This car just needed to be driven. I think this thermostat was just a little stuck. So unless this tanks down, then I think we're in the clear. I think mechanically, we're back, baby. This just goes to show cars need to be driven. Top gear is pretty impressive. It's tall. Look at it. I mean, we're under 3,000 RPM. We're like 2,700 RPM at about 65, 70 miles an hour. So this is just kind of sipping along. God, this visibility is so good. You can see everything out of this car. And having those headrests with the holes in them means that I can see through them. It's fantastic. Gotta make those blinker choices much earlier than that. I would have like gone behind you, let you go, would have been fine. You wouldn't have had to been trying to make that move. Cars like this remind me of what we don't need. We don't need 600-700 horsepower in everything we drive. Like normal cars today. A new Prius is so fast. It's like 300 horsepower. They're rocket ships. And we give them to our children. And I think there's something to be said for making safe cars slow again or something. Maybe we need more 150 to 200 horsepower cars that just have crazy safety standards instead of increasing the safety standards but also giving them like 4 seconds 0 to 60s for normal cars. You know, those aren't even performance cars anymore. Does everything need to be a drag racer? Oh, there's a E46 M3 a couple cars back. It's silver. That's another car where like you drive one of those, you're like, hey, these aren't that fast, but they're really good driver's cars. And I mean, they're fast handling, but they're not straight line speed cars. And I think that's where we need to be. We need cars that are kind of the speed of an E46 M3, but minus like 500 to 1,000 pounds. It really looks like all the problems this car had when I got in it are solved, like on their own. It self-healed. We've got a thermostat that seemingly is working properly. We've got blinkers. We've got high beams. This guy works, which is Japanese market cars, or like, I don't know if it's just Japanese or maybe just like everywhere else in the world but the US, but you can aim the headlights with that. So that works. That's one of the first times I've used one of those switches and it actually aimed the headlights properly. Those are like always broken in the cars I'm driving. So that was pretty cool. But I'm genuinely impressed. This is a pretty no frills, almost bare bones car. but it feels really well built and put together. I'm on little skinny tires, just like 195s, and it happily handles highway speeds. The suspension is compliant, but it's not too soft. Dude, this thing is fantastic. I would 100% daily drive this car, and I might for a little while because I'm kind of enjoying it. I needed to drive something that wasn't an SUV or new because I was starting to become a wuss. I was starting to become somebody who needs the GX with the heated steering wheel and the heated seats and this and that. And like, I don't need those things. I really don't. And I want to be someone who only needs a car. And this is like textbook definition, like, it's a car. There's not much to it. And sometimes we need to just have inexpensive transportation where we're not just saving up and blowing all of our cash on $100,000 cars because they're our dream cars. Like, once in a while, your dream car could be the coolest purple daily driver Audi. So anyway, import stuff from Japan. It's fun. It would be cooler if this was right-hand drive, but honestly, it makes it easier to drive around here being left-hand drive, so I'm not complaining about that. But we'll do a full-blown review. We'll get into specs and history and more stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you what it was like jumping into this car for the first time. And yeah, I didn't know that I'd want to keep it for the weekend. Now I'm like, I don't know if I want to give this back for a while, so we'll see. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. Thank you to the Depreciation Society for lending me the keys, and thank you to Garage 42 for arranging the swap, because it's always great to walk in there, hand them my keys, grab a keys to something cool, and leave. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.